Hello students, this video contains three parts. First part is about permanent magnet, next part is voice coil, and third part is actually based on loudspeaker impedance. So let's start.
Good morning, students. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Myself, Dr. Shayantani Bhattacharya, Assistant Professor of EC Department, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Katankulathu, Chennai. Today, I am going to start what is the significance of the permanent magnetic loudspeaker. This is the one important part of the consumer electronics subject. So what is the role or significance of the permanent magnet? So this is a picture of the loudspeaker you can see. So what is in this picture? So this one is, these gray colored ones is actually, dark gray colored ones is actually the permanent magnet, and this orange color, this is actually the wire. This is called the voice coil, and this one is actually phono speaker. So just in front of the coil there is a there is a cone is attached, and in this cone there is a diaphragm is attached. Diaphragm is actually a thin sheet, okay, or paper sheet, okay. So now I am going to start how it actually significant. So that means what is the significance of permanent magnet? So permanent magnet in a loudspeaker plays a crucial role in converting the electrical signal into a sound wave. Okay, actually without the permanent magnet it actually doesn't work. So how it actually helps? So it creates a constant magnetic fields in the speaker's magnetic circuit. So there is a permanent magnet. What is the principle? First of all I'll explain, then I'll one by one I'll explain each and every component. Okay, so there is a permanent magnet, so it continuously produces a static magnetic field. So when, and there is a yellow color one I have already told, this is a voice coil. So when a audio signal, a varying, that means AC audio signal is passing through the voice coil, then what will produce it is a varying magnetic field is produced. Okay, so due to this varying magnetic field and also the static magnetic field, there is a voice coils are continuously move back and forth. Okay, so just above the voice coil there is a diaphragm is attached, I have already told. So diaphragm is actually a very thin sheet. So when voice coil is continuously changing, then also the diaphragm is also continuously change its position, that means back and forth continuously vibrates. Okay, so the sound waves are generated. Okay, so what is the point? It creates, that means second point, it creates a constant magnetic field in the speaker's magnetic circuit. So this is the magnet that produces a constant magnetic field. When an audio signal passes through a voice coil, that means this coil audio signal is passes placed within this magnetic field, it generates a varying magnetic field that interacts with the permanent magnetic field. I hope you can understand now. This interaction causes the coil and also the attached diaphragm to move back and forth, producing a sound. So this is the thing why permanent magnet is very important. So without permanent magnet loudspeaker doesn't work. Okay, now what are the properties, important properties that is very essential for making a good loudspeaker? So what are the important properties? That means permanent magnet strength. Okay, that means as much as permanent magnet is very high strength magnet is if you use, then it will be more strong or very good loudspeaker. Okay, that means strength largely determines speaker efficiency, reproduction quality. Okay, magnet must furnish the most powerful magnetic field to maximize the voice coil movement for any given signal. So as much as its power is very high, it actually helps to maximize the movement of the voice coil as much as possible. Stronger the magnet, better the power handling capacity of the speaker, and the better the reproduction. Okay, now there are basically three types of magnetic structures are there in the loudspeaker. One is lug type, then ring type, and also one this is the space bar type. Okay, so first of all, one by one I am coming. First of all, slug type. What is slug type? Slug type construction is looks like that. This is the iron yoke is there, and inside there is a single magnet is there. Okay, so what is the function? That means iron yoke guides the magnetic flux which is generated from the this permanent magnet from the alnico permanent magnet into a narrow gap where voice coil would be placed. That means this iron yokes, there is iron yoke, there is a permanent magnet, and just on the permanent, around the permanent magnet there will be a voice coil, and there is a small air gap is there. So basically this yoke guides the magnetic flux which is generated through the permanent magnet from the permanent magnet into the narrow gap. So the voice, where actually voice coil are placed, for this purpose what happens, this design ensure a strong and focused magnetic field in the voice coil region, enabling efficient movement of the diaphragm. Actually this iron yoke helps to guide the magnetic field through this path, through this air gap. Okay, now we are coming to the ring magnet structure. Ring magnet structure is nothing but it is actually the improved version of the slug type. Here there are three magnets are there. These are iron yoke and these parts are iron yoke. Okay. Here also paramagnetic flux is directed more symmetrically around the gap. Gap means this air gap. This configuration improves uniformity and magnetic efficiency. Okay, significance, more balanced magnetic field enhances sound quality and reduces distortion. Okay, then space bar type. Space bar type is actually, you can see there are some this is a conductive, this is actually the diaphragm, this is which is produced by conductive material, and also some alternative magnets are there. Then what will happen, electrical current through the conductive paths interact with magnetic field. So electrical current when passes through this diaphragm, as it is produced by a made up of conducting material, so it actually interacts with the magnetic field, causing the entire diaphragm to move. Significance is what, this the design allows for a thinner, more evenly driven diaphragm, leading to detailed and low distortion sound production. So these are the main part of the entire part of the permanent magnet. So first of all, we have covered what is the role of permanent magnet, what is the significance, role or significance, how it actually works for making a loudspeaker. Then what is the property, what are the properties, important properties of the good permanent magnet a good loudspeaker, and what are the three different types of permanent magnet. What is a voice coil? So first of all, voice coil is actually the one critical component in the loudspeaker, playing a central role in converting the audio electrical signal to the sound signal. Okay, first of all we will concentrate on this picture. Okay, so what is this in this picture? So you can see this blue color one is actually a permanent magnet. Okay, so this red color is actually a voice coil. It is made up of copper or aluminum sometimes, and this is the cone is there, this is a speaker, and in front of voice coil there is a diaphragm is actually attached. Diaphragm is made up of very thin sheet or a material, okay, which is very thin of material. Okay, so from there you can see, from here we are giving the input signal, and from here the sound waves are coming. Now one by one I am telling all of you how actually the voice coil works. Okay, so when there is already a permanent magnet, blue color one I have already said, this is a permanent magnet. So permanent magnet, that means definitely there will be some permanent magnetic field is there, static magnetic field. So when there is an electrical signal, audio signal is going through the coil, They also produce some varying magnetic field, and then interaction of the static and varying magnetic field, voice coil move back and forth direction. Okay, and just in front of voice coil there is a diaphragm is attached. I have already told. So diaphragm is made of very thin sheet. So with the when voice coil moves continuously back and forth direction, so the diaphragm which is attached in front of the voice coil, it is also continuously moved back and forth. So due to this vibration, a sound wave is coming from that side. Okay. So now one by one I am telling each and every point, explaining. The voice coil is a coil of wire attached to the loudspeaker cone. This is the voice coil, red one. When audio signal passes through it, coil generates a magnetic field. If this interacts with the magnetic field of the permanent magnet, causing the coil and attached cone to back and forth. This movement produces sound waves that corresponding the original audio signal. Okay, I hope all of you can understand, because this is the main part of the voice coil. Okay. Now, what is this construction? So, actually, there is a one bobbin or voice coil former is there. That means upon which actually voice coil wound around that. Okay, that means a bobbin or a voice coil former upon which wire is wound may be made up of a strong grade of thin paper wound around on itself several times to provide a rigid cylinder. Okay. Depending on the functional design of loudspeaker, coil itself may be a copper or aluminum wire. Sometimes actually it is based on the application. Okay. So now voice coil of a dynamic loudspeaker can speak only when it is immersed in a magnetic field. Such a magnetic field may be produced by constructing an iron loop with a magnet in one section and air gap in another. That means I have already in this figure I have told that there is a permanent magnet is there. So due to this magnetic field, due to this permanent magnet, a magnetic field is generated. Okay. Now the problem is here this magnet is, this is actually the construction. Okay. Here this one, this white portion is only the permanent magnet, and this is actually the iron yoke. Okay. So iron yoke is actually when the permanent magnet generated, as there is a permanent magnet, magnetic flux is generated. So this iron yoke helps this magnetic flux to guide through this air gap. There is a air gap is there. So due to this, it actually helps the magnetic fields to guide through this path. So voice coil also helps to interact with this magnetic flux. Okay, and this is actually the slug type permanent magnet, and this is ring type. This is actually same working principle, just improved version. Here this one is totally the magnet green type of one, and this one is iron yoke. Okay, so this is so here actually this is the air gap. So iron yoke is actually guides the magnetic flux through this air gap, so voice coil can interact when it generates also the magnetic fields properly. Okay. Now what are the significance of voice coil in loudspeaker operation? So one is very important, accuracy and efficiency. The mass, size and material of the voice coil affect how accurately and efficiently the loudspeaker basically produces sound. Lightweight coils respond more quickly and accurately to signal changes, improving high frequency response. Okay, so depending on the application base, basically we will use the material and also the size of the voice coil. Then thermal handling, second one is thermal handling. The voice coil heats up during operation due to the electrical resistance, because continuously some back and forth movement will happen. Good design ensures it can dissipate heat effectively, preventing distortion or damage. And power handling, the voice coil determines how much electrical power the speaker can handle without being damaged. So these are the significant points of the voice coil in making the loudspeaker. So loudspeaker impedance. Okay, so impedance, it is actually impedance looking into the voice coil is not only the self impedance of the voice coil but also the reflected acoustic impedance. Okay, so that means here, that means loudspeaker impedance is actually the summation of self impedance of the voice coil and reflected acoustic impedance. So first of all, I will describe what is self impedance of the voice coil, and then at last I will describe the reflected acoustic impedance meaning. So, what is the self impedance of the voice coil? So, voice impedance means there will be definitely some inductance and capacitance will be there. Okay. So, voice coil winding is similar to any other coil in that it has resistance. Resistance, why? Due to the wear used in the winding. Okay. Inductance, why inductance? Due to the turns of the winding. Okay, and a small amount of capacitance. So why capacitance? Distributed between the turns. Okay, turns, that means each and every turns between them a capacitance exists. So inductance is prepared by that means impedance is prepared by inductance, capacitance, and also resistance. So resistance and reactance of the coil. Reactance means what? Reactance is actually formed by inductance and capacitance of the coil, and resistance is already there. So the resistance and the reactance of the coil combine to form a self impedance of the winding without any impedance coupled into it from its association with the other parts of the speaker. That means when I am talking about only voice coil self impedance, there only the voice coil resistance and its reactance. Reactance means its own inductance and also the capacitance. Inductance generated by how? Due to the turns of the winding, and between the turns a capacitance exists. Okay, so from there a self among all this resistance and inductance and capacitance, all this makes it produce self impedance of the coil. Okay, now load impedance. Load impedance is what? Load impedance has been reflected into the input circuit in each case, whether it is an electrical load on the transformer or a mechanical load on the motor. Okay, so two types of load impedance it happens when it reflected into the input circuit. One is electrical load on the transformer, second is mechanical load on the motor. Okay, so self impedance of the voice coil is modified with this load impedance. Okay, or you can say reflected impedance of the load. Okay, now mechanical inductance is called the inertance. This is the one part. Okay, and next part is the inductance of the electrical circuit. Okay, how actually you can explain that degree to which air tends to stay at rest is a measure of its inertia. That is actually the inductance of the electrical circuit. Okay, so next part is acoustic load. Okay, so useful resistance component, it is developed by the friction of particle and layers of air surrounding the cone when they bear upon each other. Okay, so the resistance and reactance of the system including what? Mechanical, electrical and acoustic effects combine in the effective impedance looking back into the voice coil. Okay, so this is actually the reflected acoustic impedance. Okay, already first slide I have explained the self impedance of the voice coil, and in the next slide I have explained the reflected acoustic impedance. Reflected acoustic impedance are basically three parts: mechanical, electrical and acoustic. Okay, so the combined effect is looking back into the voice coil, and this is the circuit diagram, equivalent circuit diagram of the loudspeaker. Thank you so much. Keep watching my videos. If you have any doubt, give me your doubt in the comment section. I'll try to solve as much as possible. Thank you. Keep watching.